Hi guys, welcome to the Melancholic Mama. Today we're going to be talking about a method of praying with scripture called RAP, W-R-A-P. It's a form of lectio divina or divine reading, and that helps you to kind of delve into scripture and see what God is personally saying to you. So one thing about praying with scripture versus studying scripture is that studying scripture kind of involves looking at the genre of the book that you're reading over, looking at connections between Old Testament and New Testament, looking at translations and wording, and other things like that. And studying scripture is really important, and it helps build our background for praying with scripture. But praying with scripture is a little more personal, and it's God speaking to you in your life as it is. So a lot of times if you read a scripture passage in January and you go back to it in March, you'll get different things out of it because you're at different points in your life and God has different things to say to you. So that's something to keep in mind when we're going over this Praying with Scripture series. So this is one of many videos. I have other videos on other methods to pray with scripture. But today we're doing RAP. So if you have ever heard of SOAP or Word, RAP is pretty much almost the exact same thing. And so it's just a few steps. I'm going to tell you what those steps are. You can do it along with me, and then I'll kind of give you what I got out of this prayer time, just so you can see. And then I think that's all I wanted to say. So let's get started. What you'll need is a Bible. So I like printed Bibles rather than electronic, like on your phone or computer, just because you tend to get less distracted. I feel a lot of times there's text messages and emails and stuff popping up, and so it's hard not to get distracted, at least for me. You'll also want some place to write things down, and then a writing utensil. And if you happen to have a little buddy, you can also bring along your little buddy. So today we're going to be reading Proverbs 13 using the RAP method. And so let's get started. So the W in RAP stands for write. So first you're going to write down the scripture. So in this case, I'd write down Proverbs 13, and then whatever verses I'm reading. And then after that, you're going to read through this passage once, and you're going to write down any words or phrases that stick out to you. And again, since this is personal, different words and phrases will stick out to you, and they'll be different from the words and phrases that stick out to me, and that's totally, completely natural and normal, and part of the whole point of praying with scripture is we want to see what God is drawing us to kind of see how he's trying to speak into our lives. So that's the first step. So go ahead and pause the video and write words and phrases that stick out to you. Okay, so some words and phrases that stuck out to me from this passage of Proverbs 13 was verse 8, which says that people's riches serve as ransom for their lives, but the poor do not even hear a threat. So that's one of the phrases that stuck out to me. Out of the whole passage, it was just one that it just kind of had a neon light, and it was like, you need to write this down. So that's what I wrote down. And again, you might have different words or phrases that you wrote down, and that's okay. So the next step is R, or reflect. So you're kind of going to look at the phrases or words you wrote down, and you're going to reflect on them. What is God trying to tell you using these words or phrases? Why did they stick out to you? Kind of delve into that. And of course, this is a time to ask God to show you what he's trying to show you with these words and phrases. So go ahead, pause the video, and reflect. Okay, so for me, when I was reflecting on this, it reminded me of a movie I had just recently watched with my dad, and it's called Man on Fire. And it's probably not necessarily the best movie because it's a big part of it's about revenge and this guy killing a lot of people. But anyway, the premise behind part of the video is that in Mexico City, a lot of rich, wealthy people's children are stolen by kidnappers so that they can so that they can gain money from the rich families, because to get your kid back, you need to give us so much money. Yeah, it's sad. And so kind of what God brought to me with the scripture that stuck out to me is that when we have attachment to things, a lot of great suffering comes from it, because we long to only be attached to God, and that's kind of what we were made for. And so here's just kind of having me reflect on this idea of detachment. Amelia too. So you're just having me reflect on this idea of a detachment, being detached from material things and even people, and being solely attached to God himself. So that's reflecting. The next step is A, for application. So how does God want you to apply what you've reflected on to your life? So what actions does he want you to take today, tomorrow, next week, etc.? So go ahead and pause and think about the application. Okay, so for my application, there's two things. God was asking me to detach, again, that idea of detachment, and one of those things was from my phone. So lately I've been wrapped up in my phone, and it distracts from my time with her. It distracts from my time with my husband. She's got a lot to say about that. She's like, yeah, Mom, get rid of that phone. Give it to me. So he wanted me to detach from my phone. So that just means social media, leaving it to a 30-minute window. It means putting my husband's number on the ringer and then kind of leaving my phone elsewhere. If I know that there's no important calls coming, kind of just putting my phone off to the side and out of my mind's view so that I can detach from it. Another thing that he kind of led me to was I have yet to clean out my closet since having her. And let me tell you, there are quite a few clothes that I do not fit into and probably will never fit into again. And I really like them, and I always have had this idea and hope that maybe I'll fit into them again. But God kind of showed me, no, be detached from that. It's okay. You have clothes that work with your body right now. Give to other people these beautiful things so that they may clothe their bodies, and detach yourself from all of these goods that you don't need and that you're hoarding. So that was something I'm applying, is I need to clean out my closet. Yeah. Okay, so the last step is pray. So take a second to pray with God. Ask him to help you with the application step. Ask him to give you peace and grace if there's something that's popping up that's kind of hard. And then just thank him for being with you during this time and showing you what he has. So that's the prayer step. And so you can go ahead and write your prayer. So we're getting a little antsy. So again, prayer is just lifting up praise to God, and you can write it down, or you can just not. So the last thing I always suggest after any type of prayer is just to sit in silence for 5 minutes, because it's in the silence of our hearts and the silence of our minds that God can truly come in, and we can truly allow or hear him and listen to him fully as well. And it's a great place to start with contemplative prayer. So anyway, cultivating silence is a good thing. So just sit in silence, and let God fill you with peace and his grace, and get started with the day. So that's the wrap method of scripture. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're like, oh my gosh, this baby's way too distracting or cute, I apologize. Motherhood at its finest. All right. See you guys later. Bye.